2015 is over, and we've looked back at the titles that left us most happy with our experiences and discussed our favorite games leading to our 2015 Game of the Year. Number 10, Star Wars Battlefront. If Battlefront had followed the example set by the first two entries of the series, it would have fared much better than the last spot on our list. And frankly, it's only on there because of how much we love Star Wars, and how much fun we had playing a few of the game types that Battlefield had to offer. Namely, the Heroes vs. Villains mode, which allowed us to play strategically, complementing each other through cooperation using each class's abilities intelligently. They certainly nailed the look and feeling of the Star Wars movies, but failed to offer a sufficient level of content at launch, with the additional lack of a campaign. Hopefully this title will realize itself in 2016 with the abundance of content that's planned for it as part of the Season Pass. We'd really like to see more space battles and ambush our enemies as we roll up behind them in our droid decas with some Clone Wars content. Number 9, Final Fantasy XIV, Heavensward.
No, this ends here!
Final Fantasy XIV has made a full recovery from the ill-conceived MMO that Square Enix originally released, only to destroy later with a meteor in the Realm Reborn. Its expansion, Heavensward, continues to keep up the good work by adding several new areas, a new playable race, an incredible soundtrack, and multiple new jobs, with the story of Ishgard being the highlight. In fact, FF14 is the best Final Fantasy game to come out in over a decade. The fans of the classics will feel right at home as the game features such a surprisingly powerful narrative for an MMO. Unfortunately, it follows the same trend of the genre and doesn't focus enough on endgame content. While updates were eventually numerous in Realm Reborn, Heavensward follows the precedent set by World of Warcraft, with major patches only being released every 6 months. A few more endgame dungeons and raids at launch would have easily placed us higher on the list. Number 8, Resident Evil, Revelations 2.
I'll always need you. But for now, I have this.
Revelations 2 followed its predecessor in staying truer to the series' roots than the main numbered entries bothered to do. Barry and Claire were back, thrown into the madness of the mysterious island where monsters run amok. Its strong gameplay and often tense campaign elevated this title above any recent entry of the series. It's not hard to find a game that can be played cooperatively these days. The problem is finding a co-op game that actually plays like it was made to be played with a buddy. Playing the solo experience with twice the enemies just doesn't cut it, but thankfully Revelations 2 is designed from the ground up for two players to take control of characters with unique abilities to survive. This game might have made it higher up on our top 10 list if the raid mode was more difficult and the co-op experience was available for online play. Its absence is a larger mystery to us than anything in the narrative itself. Number 7. Rise of the Tomb Raider. Rise of the Tomb Raider continues to improve upon the success of the 2013 reboot, albeit in an incremental manner. Better tombs, amazing visuals, and a stronger narrative make Rise of the Tomb Raider a memorable experience. Lara Croft took us on one hell of a ride this year with some of the most jaw-dropping vistas to visit and plunder this year with an assortment of weapons and tools, bringing that solid summer popcorn flick feel to gaming, giving even the Uncharted series a run for its money. Unfortunately, the game is still way too easy even on the hardest difficulty. The in-game world map kills exploration and makes finding things too much of a checklist, hurting the immersion, and the additional game modes feel tacked on without adding anything to the experience.
This codex details the archery techniques of the foes of the Byzantine Empire.
Number 6. Fallout 4.
War never changes. In the year 1945, my great-great-grandfather, serving in the army, wondered when he'd get to go home to his wife and the son he'd never seen. He got his wish when the US ended World War II by dropping atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The world awaited Armageddon.
After years of teasing and speculation, Fallout 4 is here. While not quite up to the level of Fallout New Vegas from a narrative standpoint, the gunplay has been greatly improved. The protagonist finally has a voice, and there are a host of new diversions to keep players sinking time into irradiated Boston. All of that post-apocalyptic garbage that used to clutter up your inventory finally has a use, and you'll be scouring the wastes for broken lamps and toasters in order to build up your settlements, which is the game's greatest feature. We easily spent well over 100 hours building towns and gearing up the populace with spare weapons and armor. If sinking time into Fallout 4 hasn't ruined your life yet, there's a host of expansion content coming throughout the year. It's just unfortunate that there were so many potentially game-breaking bugs at launch, otherwise it may have been higher on our list.
Almost there. We're gonna be okay. I love you. Both of you.
We love you too. Oh my god!
Hold on!
Can't this thing move faster?
Oh god! Oh god! Oh god!
Number 5. Rocket League. Car soccer seems like it should be an easy to execute concept for guaranteeing gaming bliss. The reality is that every attempt to make a vehicle-based soccer game has been poorly executed and less than exciting. Rocket League fixes that by offering up simple mechanics that are easy to use, but mastery proves much more difficult. The chaos of a full playing field scrambling after a ball, boosting into one another while some poor bastard realizes his goal is undefended before making a mad dash to prevent the other team from scoring is engaging, even after scores of hours. Number 4. Until Dawn.
Oh. Did I startle you? So sorry. You're doing very well. Don't be nervous.
At Analog Reviews, we love survival horror games, but they really don't capture what it would be like to be thrown into the middle of a slasher film. Until Dawn does, however, let us live out the fantasy of being thrust into a choose-your-own-adventure-style horror movie experience. Your choices carry weight, and the lives of the cast depend on how you decide to proceed. While it starts off as a goofy teen slasher B-movie, its impressive visuals and strong understanding of the genre quickly evolve the title as you play into an eerie and enthralling experience. This is a title that effectively combines humor and horror in a way that few can. Until Dawn begs to be replayed so that you can experience every possible outcome and every horrific character death. This was easily 2015's biggest surprise.
Hey, whoa. Sorry there. Sorry about that, Ash. I didn't mean to scare you.
Jeez Louise,
well,
Matt.
I did mean to scare you, sort of scare you, but not like for real scare you.
Gosh.
Number 3. Rainbow Six Siege.
Op 4 has located a bomb. Be ready for assault. 10 seconds to insertion.
Most online shooters have made an effort to be faster and more visceral at the expense of skill and strategy. Rainbow Six bucks that trend by sticking close to its roots by requiring players to move cautiously and cooperatively. Each and every stage of battle is expertly designed, allowing multiple means of incursion, with an impressively destructive system that allows the players to manipulate the environment in a meaningful way. This intimate shooter harkened back to the golden era of FPS games, where you could find diversity between titles, bringing a long welcome change from the mediocrity mold that a handful of titles have made for the rest of the industry to follow through endless annual sequels and reiterations. In spite of how buggy it can be, and the fact it could use more content, Rainbow Six's gameplay begged us to keep playing, in spite of these minor frustrations.
Op 4 neutralized. Mission successful.
Number 2. The Witcher 3. The Witcher has been a franchise which, despite its greatness, has never caught on with the mainstream audience. With its stunning visuals, epic soundtrack, perfectly penned quest lines, and a simultaneous launch on the consoles in addition to the PC, CD Projekt Red is finally getting the audience their games deserve. A major overhaul to an open-world format has not diluted the world of The Witcher in any way. Its dialogue-heavy, character-driven narrative is still intact. Its world is still painted in shades of grey, and at best, quests result in pragmatic solutions rather than storybook happy endings. Hardly anything feels like filler in The Witcher, and it makes Dragon Age Inquisition and The Elder Scrolls look like soulless, half-hearted role-playing experiences in comparison. A lot of anticipated titles for us were delayed this year. We were left with a couple of games we felt strongly about, with the majority of them falling short of any kind of greatness. This wasn't the year it could have been, but that doesn't mean there weren't some fantastic experiences. Number 1. Bloodborne. By taking the lessons that they learned from Dark Souls, From Software has constructed yet another soul-crushingly bleak world, this time smeared with a gloomy gothic aesthetic with a touch of Victorian flair. With its lore-based narrative, interconnected game world, and punishing combat, it seems like a sequel to the aforementioned franchise. In truth, the two games couldn't play more differently. The lack of shields and addition of firearms rewards tactful aggression, making for faster and more visceral encounters. While it was initially a bit light on content compared to the Souls titles, the gorgeous artwork and thick atmosphere made Bloodborne the Castlevania game that we had long pined for, and the rewarding gameplay kept us firmly planted in front of our screens. Honorable mentions.
"2015 was a big year for the interactive adventure movie genre. While we agree that Until Dawn was definitely the best of these games, I felt there were two other titles worth mentioning. The first being Tales from the Borderlands, which I at first thought to be an odd pairing between Gearbox's crazy action-packed co-op world and Telltale's story-driven experience. You alternate between two characters' point of view, Reese, a Hyperion employee, and Fiona, a con artist. Their stories are action-packed and interconnect well with one another. Tales from the Borderlands seems to do away with the tedious segments found in other Telltale games, and your choices actually seem to have more weight than usual. That combined with the hysterical characters and classic Borderlands humor makes this an unforgettable experience and one that's definitely worth looking into. It's just a shame that Game of Thrones and Minecraft Story Mode weren't up to par. The other game I felt worth mentioning is Life is Strange. It centers around a girl named Max who one day develops the ability to rewind time by a small amount. Unlike Telltale, a lot of thought goes into your decisions, and your choices really seem to affect the story. While not possessing the humor of Borderlands, Life is Strange is more of a serious and emotional story. If Borderlands is based on Mad Max, then Life is Strange is Donnie Darko mixed with Twin Peaks and the Butterfly Effect.
Boom. Butterfly effect.
It's a bit slow to get started, but things quickly spiral out of control in the later episodes, and if you're looking for something unique, Life is Strange is certainly worth checking out.
You eat like a pig. Try the floor.
I was eating those beans. Are you fucking insane? I was eating those beans! Ugh. Ugh.
This ends now! You think some stupid Hyperion motorbot's gonna...
Was she bothering you?
Yeah, you probably should have asked that before you threw her halfway across town.
Come with me if you want to leave.
Honorable mentions.
So Raiden convinced the Elder Gods to enact the Mortal Kombat tournament as a way to even the odds, give Earthrealm a chance. For generations, Shao Kahn followed the Elder Gods' rules. The war moved to the arena, where he sent his toughest fighters to challenge Raiden's greatest defenders in Mortal Kombat.
It might have failed to top MK9's campaign, but Mortal Kombat X is a superb fighting game. The tweaks made to the combat, character variations, and the stage interactables added a whole new level of depth, making it one of my favorite fighting games of all time. It might have not made it to our top 10, but major props to NetherRealm for being bold and not playing it safe.
Jason wins. Fatality.
We didn't review Forza 6 this year, but if we did, it would have been a 5-second affair summed up as, this is the game Forza 5 should have been. With a healthy car and track list, all of the tuning and customization options that the Forza franchise is known for, and the long-awaited addition of weather, Forza 6 is the game that fans deserve. There are better racing simulators out there for those who get a high from shaving a tenth of a second off their best lap time, but no other game wears its love of the automobile and the culture that surrounds them quite like Forza. Whether you love classic roadsters, modern hypercars, JDM drift machines, or muscle cars, Forza has you covered. It's the perfect game for those who want to be more like Jay Leno than Lewis Hamilton.
Thanks for watching. We're looking forward to a very promising 2016. What were your favorite games? Share with us your thoughts and like and subscribe to follow us this year.